Good evening, and welcome from a hotel room somewhere in Bournemouth. Um, this is Ellie.
Hi.
Basically, we've been getting together for a little while now to do some research on a few topics on the back of what's been a bit of a hectic sort of year and a half. Lots of things going on, either at people's workplaces, for example, or just in general, coping with everyday life and all that sort of thing with the madness. But a few things that have been going on along with that are things like other fields of research, like old world stuff and things like that, which has been something that has been interested me now for a little while. A couple of people who live locally from me are into it quite heavily, actually. A friend of mine in particular. And it's something that's sort of kind of fascinated me. And so we basically decided a while back, actually, believe it or not,
We did.
that it's something we'd like to do, seeing that we live in England.
Well, I was looking at where I live
Right, exactly.
in England, and obviously old buildings there and history there. Looking into that more. So we just decided, didn't we? We would join up a little bit and see what we find, and that's the plan now, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Because a good thing also is it gives an opportunity to sort of do a bit of networking. It's a topic that we've been talking about for a while now, particularly over here in the UK. I don't know what it's like for other countries. There are various channels out there where people connect up, of course, and that's cool. But you can't beat the real thing, obviously. And there are opportunities here, certainly here in the UK, it's a bit easier. Easier in terms of size of country, obviously, to meet up and network and do stuff. And you tend to find that you find quite a few people interested in similar things, especially if you've been involved in things like demos and stuff, and you get to know a few people.
Yeah.
Like with you with Liverpool and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, that was good. But I wanted to go on more rallies, and I asked you about Bournemouth and everything. And I've just recently done Liverpool, which was very, very good, and that was a positive. But we're still waiting the outcome of that. We still don't really know. NHS 100, keep updating, but it is still a long, I would say a long road ahead, you might say.
Is it a road with an end to it at all?
Probably not. But I mean, the that's why I think doing what we've decided to do as well takes you sort of focus away from that a little bit. Not to keep you away from it because you've got to stay in that, to know what's going on, but just so you stay a bit grounded in yourself as well, because you can get overwhelmed with everything going on. I know I have, as you know, of late.
Well, I think that's what we're kind of saying with this video, isn't it, really? That it's like, it's all connected, really. I mean, we're preaching to the choir, obviously, a little bit, but it really is all connected. Things like old world stuff, or whatever the title you want to give it, Tartarian or whatever.
Old history that's been hidden.
But it's something that's in our lives every single day. And it's something that then leads you to start questioning all sorts of things. I mean, a lot of people know of that and stuff, but I don't know enough of it. So what better thing to do than to maybe connect up with people within a community who live locally,
or a few hours away.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it took me overnight, didn't it, on the coach to get here, but that's because I did that journey, isn't it?
Well,
because it takes longer. But ideally, when you look at it, if I was to take the other option, it would only be 4 hours.
Yeah, with a car, 4 to 5 hours.
Yeah, so it's not, we're local to each other in that sense.
And there's a few others as well.
And if you can connect in that way with like-minded people, like yourself, and there's more people, isn't there, that are going to be coming on board to do it. So we'll have a group.
Well, that's what we're hoping to do. Because there's quite a few people around who've already done quite a bit of research in it, but it's kind of come to a standstill because of everything that's happened in the last 18 months or so. A mate of mine was saying that yesterday. But now with probably a lull in the other stuff, the false sense of security that we're given, whereby things are lifted and all that sort of stuff for the moment, right? it's a good time to get back involved in that sort of thing and sort of take another closer look at it. While you can, because you just don't know when you're going to get given an opportunity to travel around freely. That's a fact. I mean, you had curfews in a lot of countries in Europe over the last 18 months. I know Germany certainly did have them. Italy did, France did. I mean, there was a few countries that did it.
Yeah, but here in England, they had, you weren't allowed to travel out of an area at one point.
That's right, yeah. Well, you weren't, no.
No, they were checking people, where, like people coming from Manchester to Liverpool, they were saying you can't do that. So, it can happen. But, no, I mean, we initially got in touch because of rallies and demos and, for me as a nurse, it's important for me that, because I'm literally trying to stand up for something that, or is it stand up for what I believe in.
Absolutely, yeah.
For my freedom of choice, of where either this self-exemption goes into a full exemption by the end of March.
What does that mean, just to clarify?
That means that if my GP does the sign off for my full exemption from the said medical device, if I don't have that by the end of March, I will be dismissed entirely.
After how many years in this line of work?
Well,
just to put it into perspective.
Well over 20 odd years, 25 years. In fact, no, actually, if you think of it, no, that's not true, because I'm also talking from when I was qualified as a nurse. I started in healthcare when I was like 16, so worked as a HCA, so a healthcare assistant, and I'm 47 now, so that's a long time.
It's a long time.
And that's all, it's all I've done. So it's like working as a nurse now for obviously it's over 20 years, near enough. Then yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible because I mean, I'm not going to get a choice. It's just, that's it. So I have to be proactive in this, and this is why I reached out to you to join up, because I could see you and people around you were doing something positive. I wanted to be part of that, and I know with the NHS 100, they are all over. They meet up everywhere as well, so it's a good thing.
Yeah, and I remember when there was a rally we went to in London. Now, I know it's not all about rallies. We've had this conversation as well. Demo is not the answer at all. We know that. But they're an important tool at certain junctures, let's say, right? Sometimes you have to just go out on
it gives
and gather and speak to bystanders and also connect up with people and also get it off your chest a little bit in terms of walking around, and
you feel like you're actually doing something.
You feel like you're doing something even if you're not necessarily achieving anything per se in that moment, but you are in a way for yourself, because this goes back to another topic we were talking about, which is about the self-preservation thing. You've got to do what's right for yourself, because in these times, when you shut the door behind you, you're on your own. And when you're on your own,
well, where I was a few weeks back and I'd been the rally and I was all upbeat and I was positive. And then a few days after, I just went on a low. And it was like, I felt like I wasn't able to see where I was going to go from that. And then, obviously, we'd been in touch with each other, and it was, we talked about everything that was going on, obviously, everything that everybody knows about.
Yeah.
With what's been going on. But then we were talking about old history and hidden history and how I'm looking at stuff. So it was like, yeah, come on, we'll do that. And it was also good for me because it gave me something else to focus on.
Absolutely.
And it's given me a lift.
Yeah.
It's given me a boost, because I'm thinking, well, yeah, okay, yes, I've got that, but then I can be proactive in other ways as well, and I can, join everything together, connect it all together better.
Yeah. And also gives an opportunity to connect up with some people who are actually doing it. Actually doing it, and there are some around, and they are local as well.
Yeah.
So it's a good opportunity to keep that kind of network simmering, because, like I said, in a few months' time, I mean, there's already initiatives definitely on the horizon for future events, but the next few months will probably be a little bit quiet on the street activism front, probably. Although there will be ongoing stand in the park events and all that sort of stuff that are often on Saturdays and Sundays in various towns throughout the UK. They're the ones you see with big yellow smiley face. That's the Stand in the Park organisation. And that's caught on everywhere now. They've got them everywhere, which is really, really good. It's just people stood around offering coffee to bystanders, having a chat. That's all that is. What's wrong with that?
And it's good.
And it's good because it's about keeping that
It brings people together.
Community. But we're talking about real community, and that is something that has always been important to me. I've always said it right from the start. Anybody who knows me will know that. Online communities and stuff like that are great, and they're beneficial, and they're important and all that. But for me, the kick is the wrong word to use, but it's more meaningful to bring whatever messages I have out.
Yeah.
Because that's where you get a true measure of where you're at, with your information, how confident you are to deliver that.
Yeah.
Because if you're delivering it to each other, you're not going to get much pushback. But if you get out there with people who are blind as bats, let's say, you've got to kind of know a little bit what you're on about, and also it's real life communication, you know.
But we saw today, didn't we, when we were out and about, and people were still walking around with their faces covered up, and they're in another world.
Yeah.
It's like they're in another place, to where we are.
To where we are, yeah.
You know, it's.
But this is the thing. It's like, well, there's an example. Walking down the street, talking about things like buildings, or just talking about stuff in general, that's always related to these topics. You know, when we do walk around and talk about stuff, it just you branch off into so many different areas of the topic itself. I mean, even what we've been talking about on here now for 12 minutes, we've already gone off on different tangents, because it's actually very difficult, because it's all connected.
Yeah.
It's literally all connected.
It is.
You might think, well, what's an old world building got to do with a medical procedure? Well, the lie itself. Right, the lie itself. Who perpetrates these lies? Who's behind it all? Blah blah blah. I mean, some of them you're never going to be able to get an answer to, but it's the intrigue of sort of doing a bit of investigating and research about it.
I mean, you only have to look at the greatest lie of all, and
Absolutely.
then the rest of it is just a domino in it. It's like.
Well, that's why that's the important one anyway. Yeah. I think. Well, it's not a competition, is it? But if you understand that the realm in which you live is not the one that explained to you, let's say. Because all that is based on theories. It's got it in the titles. Yeah. You know. Then if you can catch on to that and understand that, then the rest becomes self-explanatory pretty quickly. I mean, what's happening now, a lot of us realise within days.
Well, there's a lot of good people, isn't there, in the community, and that you know, and there's people out there that are trying to speak out and are doing things and are being active and everything, and everyone's got obviously their own lives as well, but it's like if we all just do a little bit, then those little bits add up into larger.
Yeah, and you're doing something for yourself as well in that moment.
Yeah.
You know,
this is why it's been good for me, because like I say, where I was a few weeks back and it just feels like I've got something else to focus on, and I've had a few things happen, some good, some not so good, but it's all good. And as in, you know.
Well, it came to me at the right time that we met up to actually physically go out and do some stuff like we've been talking about for a while, and we have, because it came at the time when the football club thing happened to me.
Yeah.
So it's ironic that these certain things happen, but overlaps them with us meeting up to do some stuff.
Yeah. I mean,
it kind of almost showed me, all right, you're done with the football club now. That is an episode to put to bed. It ended very unsavoury, but nevertheless, move on.
Yeah, this is it.
And this sort of symbolises that move on in terms of what we're looking at, what we're focusing on,
and
connecting it all up, you know.
The buildings we've looked at so far, we've looked at some, you know, the water tower. We've looked at the supposed churches, which
Yeah, fascinating stuff.
Interesting, and
Very interesting.
there's quite a few there to look at. And we're planning on Oxford, aren't we?
Oxford
That'll be a good one.
will be a good one. Yeah, there'll be
Yeah.
a few good ones, but Oxford will be a really good one. And I mean, for example, I was looking this evening about universities and when they were supposedly built. Oxford University is supposed to be the second or third oldest in the world, whatever that means, and was built in 1200. If you've ever looked at the buildings in Oxford University, then explain to me how that is even possible in an age where you were either a peasant or you were working for the king's household and living on the top of a mountain. What were you doing? How were you building that?
Well, it's like what you said. You were saying earlier, weren't you, about the pyramids and how they built them, and you were saying about the men with the rope.
Well, that's how it's depicted in school books, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember if I looked at Egypt or whatever, you'd be thinking, all right, how did they build it? Well, they'll go on about tens of thousands of slaves, right? That's fine. That's manpower, great.
Yeah.
But then they'll have pictures of 8 of them pulling a rope with some logs, and there'll be a 50-ton slab on the back.
Mm.
Well, that's the weight of a tank. You're not moving that, and it's on sand. They didn't have roads.
Like if I
It's
said
just
to
crazy, it's just silly. I mean, we don't question it, of course, as kids because it's kind of accepted as.
Well, if say, or you said to me, if I said to you or something, should we knock out like a pyramid this week?
Yeah.
One of us said, right, okay, we'll go and get a few peeps together.
Get a few people together.
The tools. How are we moving that? How are we literally going to?
You're not moving
lifting it.
You're not moving a 50-ton rock now without special equipment, and you'd need hydraulic systems and God knows what. I'm not an expert, so I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's high tech. You ain't going to be doing it with ropes and pulleys, wearing robes and sandals, by the way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
In the heat of Egypt. Just knock up a quick pyramid or 3. Once you're done with the Sphinx, of course.
Yeah.
Right. It's just crazy.
I know. The places we've looked at already, well, the buildings, are just. What's that church called again? We looked at the other day. That's a church.
There was St Clement Church at the top.
Is that the one? Was that the one where the door was, where it looks like it's wrong?
Where it's a bit too wide, the arch. It looks like it goes further deep down.
It's like it goes further down.
Further down, much further down. Well, even the lodge that we walked past,
the
Masonic Lodge, that is a very unusual building, and it's all brickwork.
That's got a creepy feel.
Very solid as well. Well, you've got that main building on the back of it. It's got no windows.
I know, but when we were stood outside it, and I know it's got the sign, but like you stood there and it just looks. There's something eerie about it.
Well, we know what
because we know. I think that's because we know what it entails.
Well, we might not know what's going on, but we have an inkling as to
an idea.
The sinisterisms of certain things that may go on there. Allegedly. I'd like to point out. Allegedly.
And I'm just going to have a jelly baby.
You do that. Head or toes? Feet. Toes?
Head.
Could you even bite toes off jelly babies if you tried? No.
Should I go, what colour should I go? Orange, yellow?
I'd go yellow. Go yellow.
You like yellow then?
I do. Last man standing, leave the yellow one. Purple, black, whatever they are.
I'll go for this one. I think it's
green.
Is it green?
Don't know.
It's black.
Black. Alright. Jelly babies. The nation's favourite. Very nice. Apparently it says a lot about your character whether you bite the head off first or the feet of a jelly baby or you eat it whole.
So I'm going to drum roll.
Well, I'm
going to bite the head.
Go on in. Done. That's it. Brutal. So, and when we were, where were we when we saw the photos, for example? Downstairs in the foyer, right? And
this is a lovely little hotel though, isn't it? B&B.
Yeah, this is nice. It's not a bad area, and there's a lot. Well,
different to the hotel I was in yesterday. That was bigger. And not as it was okay, but this has got a more personal touch to it, I think. I quite liked it when I walked in. I was like, when I checked in.
A bit oldie England as well. But it just, there's so much of this stuff around us when we walk around. Boscombe, and the water tower is a great example of really where is the water in that tower? Where do you put the water in the tower? has to be in a container.
Well, this is
in
what
the
I
tower.
was thinking, right? How do they get it in? Because
How do you get the water
Would
in the
they-
tower, and
would
how do you
they
get it
have
out of
even-
the tower?
exactly, but especially getting it in and like as well as getting it out, like you say. But it's like pumping it in. Are they pumping it in,
Yeah.
or are they? How are they getting it in?
And why would you have windows in a water tower if you're containing water in that thing?
Mm.
So you must have a container within, obviously, the bricks. But then you wouldn't build it like that then,
Well,
because I mean that is such a complex building. You wouldn't build that to surround a water container, would you, to protect the water container? Let's say that's what it's for.
Mm.
It's just crazy to think that.
yeah, I'm still trying to work that one out. How they got the water in,
Yeah, I don't know.
and you would need a container in it.
You'd have to contain, or you wouldn't use bricks to contain water necessarily. You'd be worried that it seeps through or whatever. I don't know.
So what was it inside that actually contained it? So
Yeah,
we need to look at what it was like originally
inside.
before it was turned
yeah.
into these flats or apartments.
And we saw in the one door, the wall was about that thick, something like that. It was about a yard and a half
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
And there was a woman in there. It was obviously her place. I didn't realise, and so we kind of left, didn't we? But
Yeah, it kind of freaked the poor girl out.
yeah, didn't mean to do that. But it's like, you know, when you look at that and then you think to yourself, all right, well, there's tarmac around, there's roads around, so you could transport stuff now to build a building. No, not really a problem. You mass-produce bricks now.
But going back,
But going back then,
you wouldn't have had
you didn't have all that there.
No.
You didn't have any roads. You had nothing.
no.
How would you even transport the stuff? Never mind manufacture it, design it. And then you got the thing with Boscombe and Bournemouth. A friend of mine pointed that out yesterday. I was telling you about it when he was saying that they probably flipped Bournemouth and Boscombe in terms of importance or whatever it is. Now they
Yeah.
do that a lot in a lot of areas. They did it in Germany, in Hamburg. There's a place called Hamburg, obviously people have heard of that. And then south of the River Elbe is a place called Harburg. And Harburg, I think it's south or north, might be the other way around, doesn't matter. But anyway, Hamburg is on one side of it and Harburg is on the other side, a bit like Liverpool and Birkenhead,
Yeah.
right? But in the early days, they tell us Harburg was the more important bit and Hamburg was the small bit, a bit like they say about Liverpool and Birkenhead. Birkenhead
Yeah.
used to be the important bit
Yeah.
and Liverpool's only a small little village,
And,
and then it
it's
all flipped the other way
yeah.
around. And it's the same here with Bournemouth and Boscombe.
Mm.
And we're sort of thinking, well, why? What is that all about?
Yeah.
What's going on there? So that's quite interesting because that happens in a lot of places.
Well, they do. They do that a lot.
They do that a lot. But
They've
why
done
do
it.
they do that
They've done it in Lancashire
Yeah.
as well.
with towns?
Yeah, with towns.
They literally flip them around.
They do.
So they don't just do it with passenger ships in 1912 then?
No,
Oh,
flip them around.
did they?
See, there's so many little you can go. There's so many things, isn't there?
There's so many things. But there's one that connects us. It was registered in Liverpool, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Cunard,
Cunard. Yeah.
who my dad worked for.
It was registered in
60s.
Liverpool.
Registered in Liverpool, built in
Yeah.
Belfast,
Yeah, it was.
allegedly.
Allegedly.
We only have a couple of photos of the construction. Funny enough. Funny that.
Mm.
Very bizarre.
But there is apparently, isn't there where there's talk of it wasn't actually, it was a different.
What was the other one called? Olympus or something
That
like
was
that?
it, Olympus, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
But there's that main story about Guggenheim and all them being on board. And I think there's one particular story is that we know about the Federal Reserve Act of 1913, which basically set the tone for the globalization, let's call it that, the situation we live in now, which is banks lending money to their governments for governments to then pay back that
One
money with interest.
World Bank.
Right, well, but one World Bank, yeah. But then obviously the Federal Reserve in the US, you have the Bank of England here, whatever. And the theory was that a few of them got bumped off on the Titanic because they were going to vote against the Federal Reserve Act a year later. That was one of the theories. And I'm thinking, well, okay, that would sound plausible, but then you'd have to believe that actually happened in the first place. Did that go down like that? Would you bump into an iceberg? Don't know.
Mm. I
It's a
know.
big old ocean.
It's a big old question.
I don't know. I'll just still risk it and try to get Jack on me raft.
Would you have got a biscuit as you risked it?
No, not in that water. You know what I mean?
Talking of biscuits,
Yes,
dunking them in your tea.
right. Hobnobs.
Way to go.
Always hobnobs.
Yeah, rich tea's too weak.
No, rich tea.
Digestive crumbles.
Rich tea sounds weak.
Yeah, and digestive leaves bits in you. And
It leaves bits in before you've even dunked it. It starts crumbling into your tea.
And like you say, with the rich tea, it's this soggy.
It sounds tea house.
Very
it's
tea
not
house.
nice.
Hobnob.
Scones and all that. Hobnobs.
Hobnob.
The name.
With a bit of chocolate on, even. Just now and again as a little treat, not all the time.
The delicatessens in this country are worth mentioning.
Yeah, they are. That bread we had today was nice.
It was very nice.
Yeah, with the seeds on it.
The seeds.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So when
the bread was made in a baker, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Same baker that set the whole of London on fire. That baker.
What was it?
With his stoves.
Yeah.
That weren't used to the heat.
Definitely wasn't Ted Baker.
No, it wasn't Ted Baker. And it wasn't Sherlock Holmes either.
No.
Who lived on Baker Street.
No, we deduced that was not the case.
We did deduce that. Elementary, my dear Watson.
Thank you.
Most welcome. See, we're like that.
So when you come to Liverpool, we're going to go and look at the buildings there, aren't we?
We are. I'm looking forward to Liverpool because we want to look at the Three Graces. If anybody doesn't know what that is, for those who aren't local, the Three Graces are the three main old-looking buildings on the waterfront of Liverpool. One of them, I think, was used for a Batman film, a recent one.
Yes.
Where they have like two birds, one facing north or one facing south, and they're called liver birds. It's used in the badge of Liverpool Football Club. Although it's Everton Football Club's original badge.
We'll go back to this now. We're just going to touch on this briefly, Sven. Right? Everton, yes, was the original team. We know this, but then they branched. You know, the better kind of players went.
What are you trying to say?
Said, do you know what, Liverpool? Let's just call ourselves Liverpool. We are Liverpool.
Oh dear.
So way to go, lads.
Boring. So anyway,
relegation.
Boring.
Relegation.
Boring. So anyway, Three Graces, well worth looking at. And the Liver building is the one with the two birds on it. And that is very, very impressive because it's a very unusual kind of structure. It's always been an insurance building, hasn't it? Been used by insurance people. Although it now belongs to, you'll never guess who.
Go on.
Everton Football Club.
I know.
Yeah, it was bought by the chairman of the club.
And you know what
Just
that was?
to annoy the other lot.
Is that why?
I don't think he cares, does he? He's a businessman.
No.
He's not affiliated to it. This is another thing, we were talking about this as well. Again, it's all connected. When you look at football or sports in general, it's a microcosm of what's going on around there, out there, isn't it? You know, you have very, very wealthy businessmen. So on a lower level, right, a microcosm of what's going on out there. So you've got very wealthy businessmen, no connection to the region of where the club comes from, its fan base, its history, nothing. So it's a softer version of the franchise thing that's going on in America. You know, they'll shift a team from one city to another if it needs be, and they won't care about the fans because it's a business, it's a franchise, and it's going that way here now, where you know, football used to be really deeply rooted in the local communities. It was a working class sport.
It was.
Now it's massive business.
It would be a family day out.
Well, a family day out, of course. Now you can hardly afford it. I know that because I see the prices when I used to work at Bournemouth Club.
The price now is just ridiculous.
Right, so you know, it's all big business, and the fans don't matter anymore because they managed to play half the season with empty stadia, and it didn't matter.
It's not about the fans.
It's not, and it's the same out there with what's going on.
And if you know,
it's not about the people at all.
Everton, new manager. You can't just bring a new manager in and think that team's going to play sound.
No, you need to change philosophy, culture, personnel, all sorts. It's a long process.
So when you visit Liverpool and we go and look around, we'll go to the what's supposed to be the cathedral.
Oh,
we
amazing!
We will look at the apparently bombed out church, which is it's quite interesting to see. And we'll go along the docks and go to the mill on the docks there.
Albert Dock and stuff.
Yeah, you'll find that very interesting. It's very large, very large. And
isn't there a pub built there?
Yeah, there is.
right near the mill. I think you can go upstairs as well.
Yeah.
I've been in there.
There's a Shankly Hotel as well. You know who Shankly?
I also know there's a Titanic hotel. Do you know what the Titanic was?
Yeah.
I know who Bill Shankly was, yes. I'm just not taking the bait. He liked Everton, by the way. He always had high respect.
He was a good man.
Scottish as well, wasn't he?
He was.
That's one thing with Liverpool. They always had a Scottish connection, didn't they? They did.
Not a bad thing.
No, not at all. No.
My surname's Scottish. Yeah, my dad's side of the family, Scotland.
There you go.
Good place.
And Scotland is another place I'd love to go to have a look at some buildings.
Edinburgh.
Well, Edinburgh's one. Edinburgh's one. I'd also like to go up to Aberdeen and have a look at the Granite City, because I guarantee some of that architecture is older or whatever, and they've just added some to it. So that would be fascinating, because they call it, what is it called, the Grey City or something like that. It's got a name of it, but because all the rock that's used in Aberdeen, I think it's Aberdeen, or is it Inverness? No, Aberdeen, I'm pretty sure it is. It's all granite.
York's a good place to go.
There's loads.
We should
York.
definitely do York.
Have you seen York Minster?
Underground.
Have you seen York
I've
Minster?
been
Yeah,
in
it's
York Minster.
amazing.
I've climbed all the steps. There's like over 300 odd steps you have
It's
to
an
go.
amazing building.
And it's really, really good.
And when was that supposed to have been built? 11 something, right? Again.
But there's underground.
Yeah, sure.
You know.
I think there's more going on underground anyway.
There definitely
You know,
there is.
the bits that we see popping up above the ground, I think it's just literally.
Well, where I am on Merseyside, there's underground there.
Yeah.
In Southport.
I bet, of course, yeah.
There is. There's old.
Yeah, but here as well in Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Loads of tunnels, and everybody said it's smugglers' tunnels because they can't explain it any other way, so they say it like that.
Yeah.
Like the smugglers have got time to dig tunnels through rock. I don't think so. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just ridiculous. Right, we want to smuggle some stuff. Hang on a minute. Let's
Just
dig some tunnels through the rock that's keeping the rock that's keeping the city up.
Get that chisel going.
That rock. We'll chisel through that. We've got any tools? No.
Should we try it tomorrow? I've got a nail file.
Yeah, we'll try that. You've been watching too much Shawshank Redemption, haven't you?
It's a good film, that.
It is, but he didn't use a nail file though, did he? He used a little pick thing.
Yeah, but you know what? He bided his time, and he did it.
Well, so the story goes.
So maybe if he can do that, they can do that. Or are we just reaching now?
I think we're reaching a little bit.
Possibly.
Yeah, I think we shouldn't get too lost in films.
No.
Not good for you.
No.
Reality's better.
Yeah.
It really is.
Otherwise, it is like.
But then again, what is reality?
Well.
That's the big question.
Where are we and what are we?
What are we?
We could ask that all day long.
We could, and it would get us nowhere.
No, well, it wouldn't get us anywhere, except for a load of like veering off onto different avenues of different things.
Yeah.
Which is what we do all the time.
No, well, that's what you do in conversation, like what we're talking about now. But it happens all the time, you know, because it's like it's just mind-boggling how it's all quite similar. You know.
Good job, I'm random, innit? I just come up with stuff.
Good job, yeah. Very good job. So, you're going back tomorrow?
I am going back tomorrow, but I'll be coming back to Bournemouth around the 4th, isn't it?
4th of March.
4th of March, which is actually your birthday.
So it is. That wasn't the reason really though, originally, was it?
Kind of.
But it was a nice coincidence, I suppose.
Just gone in with that, but you've got friends as well, haven't you, that you're going to meet up with, and, you know, so that'll be good. And we'll do some more of our, but even when I'm not here and you're obviously having a look, you can be seeing what there is, and when I go home, I'll still look into stuff, do some research that way, so we're ready for when we do our next. Yeah,
absolutely.
Especially like Oxford.
Well, Oxford is something I really would like to look at all the official narrative on that and really look
because when I was travelling through, and I know it was night, well, but when I say night, I think it was about, I don't know, 4:30 in the morning come up to no, about 5 in the morning going through, and you could literally like see, you know, some of the buildings. It wasn't as dark then, early morning. So, and they are stunning to see.
Colours of them.
Just
I've
stunning.
just seen photos. I've never been there.
But when you look
that
at
area,
them,
that
when you're
part.
looking at them, and it was only briefly, obviously, going through on the coach, but it's like, how did they build them?
Well, this is the thing.
What did they use, and how? Because if you think of like the tools for them to have had, and I mean, even when we looked at the water tower with the bricks, how many bricks? We found out how many bricks were made per day, which was what, 12,000?
12,000 up to 25,000.
Yeah. So, and then if you think of when, like trains, distribution, when they were brought in, you know, steam engines and stuff like that. But then it's like, how did they even distribute all these bricks, and how? And I don't know. It just.
Well, who did the planning?
So
who did the planning?
Yeah.
Who made the bricks? Even if you had a brick factory up and running, let's say when they built that.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is there's lots of those buildings. That's the problem here. It's not a one-off building. We looked together. We saw them. They're round in shape. They're like that one, the Boscombe one. There's lots of them all over the place. So you wouldn't have had brick factories all popping up at the same time. Suddenly have hundreds of brick factories that could cope with that demand. You wouldn't. So that doesn't make sense.
No.
It doesn't make sense. Those bricks must have been mass produced. Had to have been, because all those buildings are built around about the same time, according to the mainstream jargon, of course.
It makes no sense.
None of it makes sense. And people go, well, where are you going to go with all of this? Well, where are you going to go with flat Earth, for example, if that's your thing? Where are you going to go with Mandela effect? Where are you going to go with geoengineering? You know, where are you going to go with anything like that? What you can do is you can connect a lot of dots, and you can network and find people who are of.
Well, interesting, right? With the well, we call it the Mandela effect, don't we? I call it a recall anomaly. So it's like some of the things with that now, which we were talking about the other day. I said to you, where there seems to be, well, we know we're in a spiritual war. Now, they say there's like certain changes that are supernatural, but if you look at like where we've been reset, we know we've been reset. So if you look at how they did that, it's sort of similar to what we call the Mandela effect, the recall anomaly. You know, so they change things over a period of time. They'll
rewrite stuff as we go along.
So then you recall it, and you're like, "Hang on, that's different," or you remember something. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
So,
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's making me now question that even more in another way. You know, another angle of how to look at the recall anomaly.
Yeah.
Which is what we call the Mandela effect.
Which was what we call the Mandela effect.
Yeah.
Even though Mandela and that thing never affected me at all, in terms of I always knew he was in jail, and I knew he got released.
Yeah, I mean, I could call it the Monopoly guy effect for me, because
I could call it C3PO.
There's so many for me, and there's so many other. You know, there's quite a lot of.
And that's not, by the way, that's not mocking or anything like that. It's just that
it's just from your personal experience with it.
Absolutely.
But we call it. We've given it. It's, well, not we as such, but it's been given that title, and I understand that. But for me, it is a recall anomaly that I can't explain, and that where I see these supernatural changes, I am questioning as well more, because I'm looking at this where we are, especially when we're looking back as to what's been hidden from us, which we are all the more, and as a lot more people are looking into, and how things were reset and how they did that. Then it's like, this is what, you know, it is like a recall anomaly they use there, you know, you know what I mean, like a memory thing where they change things. I'm going off on something.
No, but it makes sense, and again, it's connected. Again, it's connected.
Connect 4. That's a good game. I've got a question for you. See if you can answer this one quick.
Go on.
So we, you know, both England, TV shows. Got something for you.
Go for it.
Guess it. Are you ready? You know, you're going to giggle. So if I said to you, Miss
Popoff. Oh, yeah, Miss Popoff, yeah.
And where is she from?
Go on. Where was she from?
TV show.
Yeah, what was it called?
You can't remember the TV show?
No.
Rent.
Oh, Rent-A-Ghost.
Rent-A-Ghost.
Rent-A-Ghost, of course.
Yeah.
Duh. I used to like Rent-A-Ghost.
Yeah, I did. But you remember Miss Popper?
Yeah, I remember.
And she used to just go wherever she wanted to.
Popped off.
Popped off. Just like a...
Yeah.
Can you do that?
What, pop off?
Pop.
Oh no, but I can move my ears.
Go on then. Almost like a pixie.
Almost.
Gelfling.
Mm.
Dark Crystal. See, you can go on that route. Are we fighting what we call the Skeksis? Is that this? You know, like. See, we're going back to films, though, aren't we?
Well, does art imitate life or life imitate art? That is the great question.
Or are we the art?
Who knows?
That's a good question.
Who knows?
There's just so much.
Loads.
Lots.
The old buildings right in our faces are a good place to start. And we haven't just say start. It's been looked at. We're not the first to be looking at this sort of stuff, but I think it's a good opportunity to kind of have a look at that, because it's kind of something that is raising a lot of interest right now, and it kind of comes at the right time.
Yeah, it does.
You know, amongst everything that's gone on.
Yeah.
It's good to, like you said, maybe have a look at something else.
Yeah, like I say, us doing this, it was. I know we discussed about meeting up to do demo, you know, all that kind of thing, and rallies.
Because that was originally the whole point of it all, yeah.
But then obviously we've decided to do this, and it was sort of, it was short planned. It was just like as in, yeah, come on, let's just do it. And I had some time, so we were like, okay, and you had time, so we were like, do you know what, let's do this. So yeah, it's been good, and we'll do more, which is the plan, isn't it? Now this is what
it's got to be the plan, yeah, absolutely.
And so I'll come back to Bournemouth in a couple of weeks, and then we're going to be doing Oxford
at some point.
Yeah, and we can do and we're going to do Liverpool. You know, and Coventry.
Another one.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be sent to Coventry.
No.
But
I wouldn't be sent to Coventry either.
Nothing against Coventry.
Nothing at all against Coventry.
It's just, you know.
But what did happen in Coventry?
This is the good thing. Yeah.
Because we also know that many old structures were conveniently destroyed in World War II.
Mm-hmm.
One of the many things that a world war can cover nicely.
Good point.
Right? Not saying certain things didn't happen in World War II before people start going on about, is he a so-and-so denier or anything like that. I've been called that before now as well, and I'm like, hang on a minute, let's wait, let's just relax. You know, we're talking about what we would call false flags that happen all the time, always have happened. It's a good way of initiating a narrative against the country or whatever, to then justify an attack or whatever, or justify getting people enrolled into the military, whatever you want to do, raising taxes, whatever it is you want to do with your public, with your citizens.
Yeah.
You know.
So we'll go there.
So Coventry is interesting, not least because remember we were talking about how there was an actual movement in World War II of people, many people by the way, who demonstrated on the streets complaining about blackouts being unnecessary during so-called German bombing raids. And there were a lot of towns and cities where people were complaining, saying, we're not being bombed by Germans at all, why are you blacking us out at night? Where have we heard that before? Stop locking people away. What are you doing? You're testing stuff or what's going on, whatever, but you're keeping people away, you're keeping people segregated, separated, whatever.
And let's not forget the Pied Piper.
What, Operation Pied Piper? Yeah, same war. Funny that. Same war. And you have an operation called Pied Piper.
And what is the Pied Piper, really?
The person in the book Well, he leads the kids astray, doesn't
Exactly.
he? That's exactly what he does.
So why would you call that?
To save kids, to save and rescue kids, to get them from the cities into the countryside because of the German bombing that's not happening in certain places.
You'd call that Operation Pied Piper.
No, you would not call it
You
Pied
would
Piper
not.
unless you wanted to mock the public.
Exactly.
Without them
So
knowing.
again, more mockery.
Absolutely.
And more lies.
Just like when you look at Operation Dominic, which was the overall thing for that encompassed also Operation Fishbowl.
Yeah.
Right? And when you look at Dominic means of the Lord, I think it means. And Fishbowl you could see as a firmament. Right? And Operation Fishbowl was when they were shooting rockets up as far as they could to see how high up the firmament was. Not whether to see whether they could break into space, by the way. We've known for a long time that we live in a closed environment. It's just a narrative that's pushed in schools, right?
Sven.
But, yes.
Phone calls, come on.
Oh, what was it? 1 second delay from Washington to the moon in 1969.
Yeah.
Not bad, that. Not bad at all.
No.
But yeah, so they name these operations very bizarre names, and it is literally mockery.
It is.
You know? Literally mockery.
Frightening.
Like Operation Gladio, another one. Operation Gladio was a very, very messy bombing campaign that focused mainly in Italy, and the official narrative was that it was an attempt to, it was a communist capitalist thing going on whereby it was an attempt to stop the communists from taking over power in Italy, which again is nonsense. It's all nonsense because they're all handled anyway.
It's all nonsense.
It's all nonsense. But people did die on ground level, and it was a very messy time. And there's a guy called Ganser who writes about it, about NATO's secret armies and all that. It's quite interesting.
I know we say it's all nonsense, but when we're not actually meaning where people are.
Yeah, we're not saying people don't get hurt.
That's not nonsense.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
It's the nonsense of the actions. Of
It's like when we say gravity doesn't exist. We're not saying that a key doesn't fall to the floor. Obviously, that happens. We see that.
You're going to pick that up now?
Oh, I knew I'd have to do that, yeah. Right, we know that. Of course, that happens, the phenomena that we've called gravity, but the explanation of gravity is what the gripe is, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Salt stick?
No, thank you. I'm fine, thanks. I'll just stick to me orange juice.
Okay.
Orange juice in a mug. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
So you know.
So we'll just keep doing what we're going to do and see where we get with it, really, isn't it? Just...
So how did you find Bournemouth? I mean, not in terms of on the map. I mean, how did you like it?
It kind of reminds me of where because obviously Southport's a seaside little town, and it's kind of similar in a way. I think a little bit bigger. Bournemouth is obviously, but yeah, similar. You know, the gulls sound the same.
Yeah.
They'll go for your chips if they want them.
Yeah.
Same behaviour. Kind of like Home from Home.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
You know, I've gone from one to the other. Just.
Well, you've gone from coast to coast, haven't you?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like I got on that National Express, shut my eyes, woke up, and I'm just in.
You've gone literally from the Irish Sea to the Atlantic in one bus ride.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, actually, it was two.
Two bus rides.
And
a train.
Yeah, I had to get a train as well.
To get to Liverpool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it was the train that was going to cause me issues.
Hence you get in the coach.
Yeah, because there's been a lot of cancellations and disruptions on the train tracks.
Funny that.
I know. So, and they've been running every 30 minutes. 30 minutes. So, so I had to get an earlier train. So I was actually in Liverpool earlier, wasn't I? So
you were, yeah. In fact, your coach got in a few minutes early as well, probably about 10 minutes early.
Yeah, I was quite glad for that.
Yeah, I wasn't. I nearly was a bit late, wasn't I? Because I went for a smoke.
Because where I was on Canning Road, it was quite quiet. There wasn't many people there. Because
you're not allowed to smoke ever at the bus stop now. You have to go into a smoking corner. You have your own little shelter. Everyone can point at you and go, look, there's the smokers.
Well, it was a good good little journey. I didn't mind it actually. It was okay,
Mm.
not too bad. But yeah, so
Yeah, and it was good to meet up, wasn't it? Because we'd spoken a few times and stuff like that. It's
Yeah.
nice to sort of, why not?
yeah, it was good.
People should do more of it. I mean, I know there's friends in America going to be doing that soon and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I think you were going to go, weren't you? But something's come up with you.
Yeah, I wanted to go. I mean, I'm not going to rule it out like in the future to go, but obviously I've had a few things happen where I've had to change a few things, but you know, I never say never.
The opportunity will always arise, won't it? And at the
say
moment,
never.
we're all at the behest of what's going on that we can't control anyway.
Well, this is it. It's very, you know,
But-
it's all up in the air still, isn't it? But yeah, Bournemouth is really nice. I mean, it's funny, you know, because I was actually going to go to Bournemouth, come to Bournemouth a couple of years ago before all the
Nonsense.
and do a
Half marathon.
Yeah.
For those who
yeah.
don't know what a half is.
Oh yeah, half marathon.
Yes.
And I was going to do Bath as well, but it never happened because of
Not have a bath, but go to the town called Bath.
yeah.
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 Well, just, you know, clarifying.
Oh, yeah, which would have been great. So I'm gonna do that again, but I am doing, hopefully, all being well, Edinburgh in May, full, and I'm doing a London. I'm only going to do a 5k in London. In
Full
November.
marathon in Edinburgh.
Yeah, I've done that one before. It's good. But yeah, so and a few more, but yeah, it'd be good. But London will be good as well to go and look at. As we know, we're going to go to Oxford and stuff. But I think you're going to come with me, aren't you, when I do Edinburgh, so we can then go and look at the castle and obviously the volcano.
I've not been to Edinburgh for years, but Edinburgh's got a bit of a personal history to me because my dad served in a regiment whose headquarters is Edinburgh Castle.
That's right, yeah, I remember you saying.
Yeah, and they've got allegedly the eagle, right? I mean, this is, knowing what we know now, of course, it's a bit cringy, but it's cheese, right? But
I love cheese.
I like a bit of cheese.
Cheese on crackers.
Yeah.
Cheese butties.
But this is real.
Cheese.
This is thick cheese, this. So what they've done is, in Edinburgh Castle, they have an eagle that's displayed made of bronze and allegedly...
Not cheese.
Not made of cheese. But not only is it not made of cheese, but Napoleon's men, each squadron leader or whatever, held one of them in battle. And the Brits, of course, because we're so, what's the word, brave, managed to capture one of these eagles, these bronze eagles, that of course Napoleon got from his campaigns in Egypt, right? Brought them with him to battle in Europe, as you do. It's only a quick horse ride to Egypt from France. It's just down the road, right? No Alps in the way or anything like that. No differences in weather, climate, sea level, nothing, right? So that's housed in Edinburgh Castle. And the regiment was the Royal Scots Greys. They were the ones that rode on their grey horses and scared the living daylights out of Napoleon, according to Rod Steiger and the film Napoleon, and according to all the history books, and the very famous painting where these horses are literally leaning at you. I can't remember what the painting's called. It was drawn, painted by a lady who obviously wasn't on the battlefield, so what the hell was she painting, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. It's a depiction of horses with soldiers on them.
Stood at the side with a...
Well, she wouldn't be sat right in front. Well, the view is of the horses at you. And the front horse, the front 2 or 3 horses have got a very strained tongue hanging out and all that. It's a very powerful painting. And it's supposed to depict the attack of the Scots Greys, the cavalry. Yeah. But this is the thing. Even the official story is flawed to hell. Right? Because the Brits didn't really do anything. It was the Prussians that saved the day, if you want to believe the official story. The guy's name was General Blücher. Right? Prussia now belongs to Russia, but was actually Germany. Any football team, for example, that begins with Borussia, for example, Borussia Dortmund.
Dortmund, yeah.
That the black and the yellow, or the black and the green, depicts Prussia, right? That part of Germany.
Right.
It's an old thing, but anyway.
That's interesting. That.
Yeah, it's quite interesting.
That is very interesting.
Germany never used to be a country. Germany used to be principalities, just like Italy did. And that all changed when the Weimar Republic kicked in, end of the 19th century. Right? There we go again.
I've been to Italy.
Yeah, it's nice.
By train.
Italy's beautiful, especially by train. When you go through the Alps. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it is lovely. We're on a sleeper train.
Yeah, I went to Budapest, a similar journey, but same thing, through the Alps. Beautiful.
So lovely. But yeah, you're right.
So if you look at the official timeline, it slots in with when certain buildings allegedly were built, or certain things like photography was invented. Funny that, at certain points, another thing that we spoke about was the world population, right? We did the comparison, didn't we? The population of Earth, right, was 1 billion according to the mainstream, up until 1900. It's now 2022, so that's 122 years, and we're supposed to have risen to nearly 8 billion. So we've gone in 122 years, 7 billion jump, but yet the thousands of years preceding 1900, we only managed to rock and roll it to about 1 billion.
Doesn't make any sense.
That doesn't make sense. And the counter argument I get is, well, transport kicked in, so people travel more. Well, they didn't travel around the world bonking. People still stayed in their communities. They worked, or whatever it is they did.
That's a funny word.
Do you know what I mean? But it is, though, isn't it? What do people think people were doing when they suddenly could travel?
I don't know, but it's a funny word.
There's a lot of funny words, young Ellie.
There's
a lot of funny words.
There is, young Sven.
Like, for example, act like you've got it. That's funny.
Got what?
Well, it said it on posters and bus stops, didn't it?
I know it did.
Act like you've got it.
But got what? I ain't got anything. I'm not acting like that. I've got anything.
Right.
Innit?
No, I know.
But they did. They said, act like you've got it. I'm not gonna.
Yeah. Let's not even. Where were we?
I don't know. Those chips were nice before, weren't
Pied Piper, by the way. Yeah, the chips were nice with the curry, but a bit heavy towards the end.
Yeah, but nice.
Nice. Pied Piper was based in a town called Hamelin. It was called the Pied Piper Hamelin.
That's right, yeah.
And I was born down the road from there in a place called Rinteln, which is on the River Weser in Germany. Yeah, in Lower Saxony. And the capital of Lower Saxony is Hanover. And Lower Saxony used to be the state. Before it was Germany, you had Saxony, you had Bavaria, you had Hamburg, which is a town and a state. It rolled into one. Same with Bremen. So you had all these regions. Yeah, it's amazing. Especially the windy, blustery areas of the north, Ellie. You know what I mean? They mass produce baked beans up there, Those who know. Those who don't, well, I guess they don't, do they?
Oh gosh, get the giggles. Okay.
We're literally coffee, orange juice, and we've literally had a bag of chips and some curry sauce.
Yeah, we've been busy as well today, haven't we?
Not on anything.
We've been busy.
Yeah.
We've been.
We have been busy. We've been busy the last couple of days.
Yeah, looking
really.
at stuff, and we are gonna put stuff together, aren't we? But we've
been looking at other things as well for the future, stuff that we can coordinate a bit better and do some more long-term travelling.
And the weather's not been the best, has it? Really?
No, it hasn't. It's not been great at all. No. So we couldn't really get out and do too much. We literally had to use our little windows of opportunity, as it were.
Yeah.
That's it. But we wanted to get a couple of videos in. I wanted to talk about the football club. I had to get it out, really. I needed to say that.
Yeah.
And it was also good to kind of
see a bit of Bournemouth.
A bit of Bournemouth. Get together to sort of kind of put a face to the name, as it were, really. Yeah.
And for me as well to, see who else is going to be involved, which you've introduced me to a few people, haven't you?
Yeah. So that's good as well. So people already know next time we come down, there will already be sort of one or two lined up, as it were.
Yeah.
We can move on to the next stage. Would be maybe to go somewhere with a few of us and whatever and do some proper stuff. Lots of things, yeah.
Cool as a cucumber.
Yeah, it'd be good. Was there anything else in particular? There was nothing in particular we want to talk about anyway. It was just lots of general stuff.
Just wanted to touch on stuff, didn't we? Really, I don't know. just what we're going to do, sort of thing, I suppose, or what we have been doing. I don't even know. We just thought we'd
Just chat.
chit chat.
Talk about where it's at, really, for us at the moment, you know.
Sounds like a rap.
You know, it does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Talk about where it's. I know I'm getting the giggles.
Oh, it's good. It's all right. All good.
Mm.
Giggles are good.
But yeah, it's good, and I like Bournemouth. There's a lot of culture going on, isn't there? That coffee shop we sat outside today, that was good. I liked it there.
Bit windy it was though, but it was when we were sat there. It actually was, ironically enough, it was, wasn't it? Because it was right on the corner, right? So you had the wind coming from both angles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you reach a point, right, when you sort of overtiredness almost kicks in, doesn't it? No, I'm keeping it nice and, you know.
Aries.
Oh, God. Funny.
Yeah.